I want to continue with our Dvar Torahs on the 100 good deeds you could do as a Jew. We put out a list a while ago. We're on number 20. And if you want to turn to page 715 in your Siddur, this is the blessing of the new moon. So this is concluding, I think between 10 to 20 was blessings. If anyone wants this list, you can ask me. I'll send you the link. So this is the final blessing we're going to be talking about, this blessing of the new moon. And there's a lot of symbolism here. It's a very special occasion because the new moon in Judaism symbolizes, according to mysticism, is the Shekhinah, God's presence. This can be hinted to in the fact that it waxes and wanes, but it's always there. God's presence is always there. When it's renewed each month, it's a cause for celebration. We're remembering that Hashem's with us. Hashem's going to continue to be with us. So this idea that it represents God's Shekhinah, God's presence, translates into three components that are important to remember when it comes to all the laws of Kiddush Levana. Okay, and if you remember these three categories, all the laws kind of fall into place. Number one is we have to act in a way like we're receiving God's presence. That's number one. Number two, we do it with happiness, because when God's presence is renewed and close to us, we're happy. And lastly, you have to properly benefit from the moon in order to make the blessing. So let's go over those three components. First one is you have to properly receive the Shekhinah, God's presence. How do you do that? You do it ideally with a minyan of 10 men. Okay, women are exempt from this mitzvah because it's a time-bound mitzvah. But you need a minyan of 10 men because you do it with a crowd. If you don't have a minyan, you could do it on your own. If you're afraid you're not going to be able to, but ideally you should do it with a group. You should do it outside, because when you go to receive a king, you do it outside, or a queen, you do it outside. You don't do it inside. If you're stuck, you're not feeling well, you can make a blessing over the new moon in your house or from beyond a window. But ideally, you should do it outside. That's how we do it in our shul. We step outside, and also we do it ideally on Motzei Shabbat after the week. Why? Because you're already dressed up, fancy, and that's the proper way to receive the king. So those three components are related to the idea of receiving the Shekhinah. Now we're supposed to do it with happiness. Okay, so therefore we don't do it in a time when it's sad or when we're stressed out. So before Tisha B'Av, it's a time of mourning. So we don't say it then. We wait till after Tisha B'Av of the month of Av to say it. Similarly, we wait till after Yom Kippur because we're in judgment during that time. Therefore, we wait till afterwards. So we do it in a happy state. And also, if someone's in Shiva, they should also, if they can postpone it till afterwards and they won't miss it, they should postpone it as well. And this also explains why we have so many dancing customs connected to this, because we're happy. We're happy it's like we're receiving the Shekhinah. Now, we mentioned that last time. A third component, which you didn't talk about, is you have to properly benefit from the moon in order to bless Hashem over it. So how do you do so? So on the first or second day, you don't really see the moon. So we don't make the blessing on those days. On the third day and on, you could see some of the moon. So we start making the bracha on those days. Sephardim say you need more till the seventh day. And so we need to wait a certain amount of time, and you have to be able to see it. So if it's cloudy, it's very cloudy, everyone agrees that you don't make the blessing. That's why sometimes during davening, you'll see somebody step outside, they'll check to see if you could see the moon or not. If you can see the moon through a veil, and you can benefit from its light like you would before, even though it wasn't veiled. For the Ashkenazic custom, you can make the blessing. For many Sephardim, you can't. It has to be completely clear. You have to completely see the moon. That's like a debate. So when I was in yeshiva, there were times I was surprised my rabbis had us make the blessing over the moon, because you could you could see it, but you didn't see it in its fullness. But we made the blessing over it. So that's the idea of being able to properly benefit from it. I just want to mention 2 or 3 customs connected to blessing over the Kiddush Levana, which are a little peculiar, right? So there's during the blessing. This blessing, we come around to each other. We say Shalom Aleichem. Seen this before? Shalom Aleichem, Aleichem Hashem. We're saying hi to. We're forced to say hi to each other. Forced to answer each other. One explanation for that is that because we're so happy over the new moon, so we want to share the happiness with each other. Another explanation for that is that we may mention verses before this of our enemies falling, and so we want to not extend that same energy to each other. We want to lift each other up, so that's why we do that at that time. King David's mentioned. David Melech Yisrael Chai V'Kayam is also mentioned because the kingship of David waxes and wanes, and we're hoping it'll come back strong. That's why we mentioned that. third custom, in addition to Shalom Aleichem and David Melech Yisrael Chai V'Kayam, is the Aleinu. So we're saying Aleinu after Kiddush Levana. And I saw an explanation for this. We want to make sure that we know we're not praying to the moon. Right? So, if someone comes from the outside, they see us like praying outside. It kind of looks like we're praying to the moon. So, and we also facing the moon when we're making the blessing. I've never seen like rabbis turn around. So at the end of it, we say Aleinu to say, Aleinu l'shabech. We're praising Hashem over the goodness that God brings us through the natural cycle.